Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This channel where science is all about trying to learn various concepts of data science by practicing a lot of questions. In this video, we are going to solve this question on lead code regarding first and last call on the same day. The difficulty level of this question is hard and I'm going to share the SQL schema as well as the Panda schema in the description box below. Okay, the question reads, we are given a table called calls with three different columns, caller ID, recipient ID and call time. The combined columns caller ID, recipient ID and call time is the primary key, that is combination of columns with unique values for this table. Each row contains information about the time of a phone call between the caller ID and the recipient ID. Okay. We are asked to write a solution to report the IDs of the users whose first and last calls on any day were with the same person. Calls are counted regardless of being the caller or the recipient. Okay, order of the result does not matter. So basically, here we have example where we have certain caller IDs and the recipient IDs and various call times. We need to make sure that in our output we have all those people whose first call on a particular day and last call on a particular day is with the same person. So if we look at caller ID 8, on 24th of August 2021, they had two calls. The first call was at 5:46 p.m. and the last call on 24th of August for 8th is 7:57 p.m. and both of them 8 and 4 are talking. 8 and 4 should be in the output. Similarly, if we look at caller ID 5, on 11th of August 2021, there is only one call and caller ID 5 and 1 are talking. So obviously this is going to be the first call as well as the last call of both of this. So 1 and 5 should also be in the output. Now let's look at 17th of August 2021. For 8, the first call was recipient ID 3 at about 4 a.m. However, the last call was at 10:22 in the night, but it was with 11, right? So obviously the first and last call for 8 is not with the same person. Similarly, if we look at 3, so the first call was with 8 and the last call was with 11. So 3 should not be in output as well. For 11, first call with 3 was with 1 p.m. in the afternoon, but the last call was with caller ID 8. So you should have 4, 8, 1 and 5 in the output, and that is what you have. So to solve this question, since the question says that it does not matter who the caller is and who the recipient is, the call is counted irrespective of that. So what we should do is we should have the table as it is and union by interchanging these columns so that 8 and 4 is also counted as a call between 4 and 8, right? Because SQL won't understand that if you just try to do it directly. So what I'm saying is, let us keep all the columns from the calls table and then union this with what we are basically doing is from the calls table we are trying to rearrange the column. So return me recipient ID first, then the caller ID, and finally the call time column. And let me go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So now if we look at it, let me just drag it above. So you had certain values, right? So here you had, it started at 8:4 and ended to 8:11. Now and then you are basically what we had is 4:8, 8:4 and so on. Now once we have this, then we are able to identify that yes, a call between caller ID 8 and recipient ID 4 is also counted as a call between caller ID 4 and recipient ID 8 at the same time, right? Now you are able to do the analysis. Now what we need to basically find is for every caller ID on a particular date, who is the first person the caller is talking to and who is the last person the caller is talking to. So what we can do is, let's save this entire thing in a common table expression. So with CTE as, this entire thing goes into parentheses, and then what we are basically trying to find out is from this common table expression, let's keep all the three columns that we have right now and then try to find out for every caller ID, right? So let's try to do this. Since we are going to use a window function, so over for every caller ID, so partition by the caller ID, as well as on a particular day, right? So the question says on a particular day, the first and last call of a caller should be with the same person. We need to return such kind of people. So partition by the caller as well as the same date. Now here you have a date time. How can you extract the date out of it? Either you can, change the format, or there is a simpler way to do this is you can simply go ahead and use the date function, and if you pass a date time, it will only keep the date part and ignore the time part. So partition by the caller ID as well as the date, and then you need to order by the call time in ascending order. So by default it does ascending, but let me just write it explicitly here. Partition by the caller ID and the date, and then order by the call time. And once you have this, then you find out what is the first value in the recipient ID. What will that give? That give that for a particular caller ID, right? So for a particular caller ID on a given date, what is the recipient ID of the first person the person is talking to? Why? Because you are doing order by call timing ascending order. So what I'm saying is return me the first value from the column recipient ID. Okay, let me just bring this down so that it's easier for us to see. And let me, alias this as, let's call this as first call with. Okay, so if you look at our output, let me just drag it to the left. So here, what we have is for caller ID 1, we saw that on 11th of August 2021, there was only one call between caller ID 1 and 5. So obviously for caller ID 1, first call was with 5. And then if we look at 3 on 17th of August 2021, for 3, the first call was with 8. Similarly, you see, right? So for 17th of August, even though this recipient ID is 11, the first call was with 8. Just like this, what we can do is we can find the last call was with whom. So you can just do the same thing, that let's copy this here, and the only thing that we need to change is order by call time in descending manner. So let me just copy this, paste it here, and you just need to find the first value in the recipient, but this time if you order by decreasing manner, so obviously the last call will come the first, and then that is how you are going to get, okay, the last call was with this person, and let's alias this as last call with. Let me go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So now if we look at it, so the first call on 11th of August 2021 for caller ID 1 was with 5. Last call was also with 5. For first call, caller ID 3 on 17th of August was with 8, but last call was with 11. Right? Similarly, if we look at 4, first call on 24th of August 2021 was with 8 and last call with 8, and so on. So once we have this, then what does this question ask us to do? Return people who have the first call and the last call on any day with the same person. So what we can do is we need to filter. So let's save this entire thing in another common table expression. So CTE2 as this entire thing goes into parentheses, and then what we are doing is from this common table expression 2, we are only going to keep those rows where first call with is equal to last call with, and then you need to return the distinct caller IDs. These are the people who had the first and last call on a particular day with the same person, and this should be aliased as whatever is required in our output, that is user ID. So as user ID, let me go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So now if you look at it, this is accepted. Our output is same as expected output. Let me go ahead and submit this to pass all the test cases. So yeah, this is accepted, and this is how to do it. So very difficult question and also very tricky, because you need to use firstly union, so that the question says that every phone call is counted irrespective of whether it is a caller ID or a recipient ID. Then you need to find out for every particular day who is the first person any caller is talking to, who is the last person, and you need to use the window function first value in this case. Once you identify the first and the last person a person is talking to, then you return, okay, those first and last person should be the same, and you return those users. So yeah, this is how we do it. Let me know if there's a better, more efficient solution to solve this question. Let the solution be in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.